Something that I don't think we talk enough about is how Americans are not as friendly and as open as they seem. I feel like people all over the world say that Americans are annoying because they're so friendly and they're so chatty and they seem so open. But the reality is that's just being polite. And as an immigrant, this took me a really long time to understand because I would always think that I'm having these positive interactions with people, especially when I first moved here. And now in hindsight, I realized that they were probably just like trying to get rid of me. And it's so tricky for someone like me who comes from a culture that's very literal and very direct, and we are as open as we seem. I really, really misunderstood a lot of things here. But I also think that if you're neurodivergent and you are more literal in the way that you understand things, you're gonna have a hard time here. But that aside, I think this is why people feel really lonely here because you find yourself second guessing a lot of your relationships and second guessing yourself because you realize very quickly that people aren't very honest with you, and kind of similar to a video that I made a few months ago, I believe, where I talked about how like lying to each other is considered polite here and like honesty is considered harsh and like rude. And for the longest time, I thought, it's just a culture shock. Like, you have to get over it. But I really struggle because the second guessing yourself, the feeling bamboozled that this interaction or relationship or person that you thought you were connecting with in fact just actually did not like you the whole time is still a jarring experience to me. It's similar to how in certain cultures, like in Turkey I believe, people will offer you things. They'll offer you food, or if you compliment something that they have, they'll offer it to you. And if you're not from that culture and you accept it, then you don't understand that was rude to do that. But how would you know unless so it's similar to that in the US where it's like it's so normal and accepted if you're an American, but if you're from another culture, it's really, really hard, no matter how long you live here, to like fully realize that everything is kind of a facade, and in reality, people are much more guarded, closed off, reserved, and super prudish, honestly, than they seem or pretend to be. My solution to this is just to be myself and to just come to terms with the fact that I'll always come off as rude and abrasive when in reality I'm probably kinder than the person that is pretend nice to your face. And it drives me nuts, but that's just the reality.
Hey beautiful people, welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you for stopping by. So all credit goes to the creators in these videos, guys. When people think of moving abroad, the first thing is that they think of better life, more money, better opportunities and safety. And for many African immigrants, the reality is far from what social media shows. The truth is life abroad can be harsh, can be lonely and unforgiving. Think about this: you leave your family, your friends, your comforts, your culture, and suddenly you are in this new place where nobody knows you. The first shock is often financial, and many migrants arrive with big dreams, but jobs don't come easy. You might have qualifications, but without local experience, employers will turn you away, and you'll find yourself working multiple low-paying jobs just to survive. That's even if you find any. And some end up in roles far below their skill level: cleaning, delivering, waiting tables. I mean, you begin to question why you left your home in the first place, guys. And I'm not saying those jobs are bad, but look at it. And there's social isolation. Making friends is not easy. Cultural differences, language barriers sometimes make it so difficult to blend in, and you watch others live easily while you struggle. And even when you find your community, it never fully replaces the warmth and the support of your own country. And talk about mental health, depression kicks in. It becomes a struggle, an invisible battle, and many people hide it because asking for help looks like you're weak. And the harshest reality is racism and discrimination, because many African immigrants face it every single day, from your employers underestimating you, to strangers judging your accent, to subtle microaggressions in streets. Life abroad is not welcoming, and that's the truth. Not in all cases, because you have to constantly prove yourself, you have to constantly adapt, you have to constantly fight for respect. And even in all this struggle, there's resilience, because immigrants learn to survive, adapt, something beautiful, build something beautiful, because they might be far away from home, but they still carry their culture, their values, their dreams to them. and they endure because giving up is not even an option. Like, it's not even on the table at all, right? Because you have come for a better life, and it is not possible for you to say you want to go back home without holding anything. I mean, many people sell their lands, their houses, their cars, just to relocate abroad. So because of all these reasons, giving up is not an option, and Africans are so resilient and hardworking, and they are able to adapt in any circumstance and situation. Guys, as an African living abroad, what are your experiences? Let me know in the comment section. Let's see what the other creators have to say, and I'll see you soon.
Sorry guys, askisini, but can those of us who are living or working outside of our birth countries just admit ukuthi this whole living abroad thing is hard? No. I am so sorry. I feel like sihambile and we have glamorized this whole living overseas or working overseas, and we are not telling abantu the actual truths of just some of the difficulties of living in a country that, one, is not yours, a country whereby culture is different, the language is different, the way everything happens is different, the culture shocks are different. But no, siyathanda poster when you are now on a flight or you are now on a gupi because you now have the financial to be able to go and do those nice things. Mara as let me tell you guys some of the things that a lot of these wonderful I work abroad and I live overseas do not tell you. Number one, the loneliness. If you have never experienced loneliness and literally feeling even more alone, when you pack up your life and you pack up everything you know, from your friends to your family to even guys, even the ladies plastic, you will miss that. It gets so lonely that even when you're outside, it is still lonely, especially if you're a person of color who is living in Europe, because guess what? It's not too good to back funa everywhere. So isizungu. Isizungu, see, very, very real. It is dear. It is dear, baba. Kuyadura. Things are expensive. If you thought you were going to apply boy maths, girl maths, South African maths, it doesn't matter, African maths, where you tell yourself, I earn so much in my local home currency and in euros or in dollars or whatever, a currency your current country uses, and I'm gonna do this. But I'm a plan. You start building people's kitchens, you starting to think this, starting to think that. And no one would actually even tell you that small things, maybe not small, but things like meat are expensive. Very expensive. And that people living in Europe, some can't even afford inyama.
African people move from Africa to come to Australia to find a better life, right? And a lot of them came here not knowing that there's racism and discrimination. Because in Africa, all we have is tribalism, which is different than racism. Because tribalism sometimes could work for your favor or it could work against you. So anyways, moving here, now facing discrimination and racism, yet people here will tell you, no, it's safe here, be grateful, there's opportunity. Listen, a lot of African people that move to Australia, they're very grateful and they're very happy with the safety and the shelter that Australians gave them. But it doesn't give us the right to turn a blind eye to racism and discrimination. Which sometimes people go, oh, but we brought you guys here so that you should be grateful. We're saying we are grateful of everything. The only thing that there's an issue with is racism and discrimination. With racism, it's like poison. Everywhere you go, you perceive as different. We're humans, and humans always seek for safety or where there's resources. Why should you treat me different? If you were to come to my country and let's just say Australia was going through war or civil war, and all of a sudden a lot of people in Australia go, you know what, we're gonna go and migrate to Uganda so they can live there. People will not look at you differently because of your skin color, and you will not be treated as a criminal, because a lot of African people get treated as criminals in Australia, which makes it a little bit much harder to fit in. It's not like we're not trying to fit in. It's just a lot of people here are not letting us fit in.
Guys, let's not even sugarcoat it. Life abroad is not easy. And many African immigrants realize that living abroad is not just about surviving. It's about learning. Because you learn everything. You learn patience, you learn resourcefulness, you learn humility. And every challenge, every rejection, every lonely night teaches you something real. You discover a strength that you never knew you had. You learn the value of money, of planning, of networking, which is very important, and of fighting for every little win and little victory. But even with all these lessons, the longing for home never fully goes away, because the birthdays, the weddings, you miss them. You long for the taste of, a good original home cooked meal, the sound of your language spoken freely, the familiarity of the streets. And sometimes, no matter how successful you are abroad, right, you realize that home is not just a place, it's a feeling, and you cannot fully replace it. And for some people, life abroad eventually becomes stability, financial security, education, opportunities for children. But I feel that it does not erase the pain, the struggle, or the sacrifice that it took for them to get there, right? And African immigrants often walk a fine line. They build a new life while carrying the weight of what they left behind. And through it all, guys, one thing is clear. The African immigrant story is not just about hardship. It's about courage, perseverance, resilience, guys. It's about people daring to leave everything that they are familiar with to chase a better future, even when the world around them is not kind, guys. The journey is raw, it's challenging, it's full of lessons that many people will never, and I say this boldly, many people will never understand until they have walked in those shoes themselves. Because if you talk about it, many people at home will be like, oh, okay, if life abroad is not easy, why don't you come back home, this and that? At least you should be able to come back to where you left. I mean, many people left and sold all their properties. So giving up is not an option. All they have to do is to wake up. After they have cried throughout the night, they wake up, dry the tears, and go to work, because giving up is not an option. Many people don't exactly have, a backup plan back home. So selling all your possessions to come abroad, it has to work, and you are going to show up every day until it works. So that's just the mantra that most of immigrants go with every single day. They're like, giving up is not an option, it just has to work. Anyways, are you an immigrant living abroad? What are the things that you are facing, the harsh realities that you are facing abroad? I really want to know. And if you're family in this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll definitely see you in my next video. Please stay safe, mental health is important. Ciao.